Welcome back, ladies and germs. Bill here from Mad Max and Max Length of Pull. Long time no see, I know. I say this a lot, but life comes at you fast, and it sure did this go around. But today, got something that I've been pretty excited about for, I guess, since November. But before we get into that, a couple housekeeping notes. Patreon.com/MadMaxGuns if you want to support the channel financially. I haven't been very active on there, as I haven't really been active on a whole lot of social media recently, but we're working on it. We're going to get there. Check out maxlop.com. That's where I'm publishing full-length articles. I will have to write one up for this, but the video is going to come out, and then an article will come out slightly after. But we'll get there. So Max LOP, and then Instagram. If you're not following me there already, what are you doing? Mad Max LOP. So as you can probably tell by the thumbnail, the intro, the title, all that good stuff, today we're going to be talking about the 416 at home. And yes, it is clear. Yes, mag's empty. I just like the way it looks in there. But this is something that I've been interested in a very long time. There's a couple years ago where the 10.4 416s, everyone was diving into them left and right and center. And I always wanted one, but I couldn't justify paying upwards of $3,000 for a 10.4 upper. For the simple fact that I'm not doing anything where I could justify spending that much money on it. Yeah, they're sick. I almost pulled the trigger on one a couple times where they were coming out used. But anyway, Brownells has been doing a lot of cool stuff recently, whether it be the retro stuff, I mean, everyone's doing the PSA with the H&R stuff, but I digress. They finally came out with a completely in-house type deal. I'm sure they source a bunch of parts. I think the barrel's from Fax, and we'll get to that after. But it's a regularly stocked item where it's not like this special thing. Then when it's gone, it's gone, and it's pretty sweet. They give you a complete upper, charge and handle, bolt, everything but the rail, which I'm pretty happy about that because the regular 416 rails, in my opinion, leave a lot to be desired. And well, before we start going down rabbit holes, let's talk about it from front to back, just because the upper is really the key. Usually, I'll start from back to front, but front to back, I'll start from the inside out, actually. At the heart of it, it's just a 416 upper. You can see that it's got the little lip there. Everything is 416 on the inside of it. It has the new little mag pull. I'm pretty sure this is like a quick release polymer dust cover, pretty slick, but it comes with it on it. I'm not going to complain about it. It has a Faxon barrel. Now you have options with the BRN 4s. If I didn't mention, it is called a BRN 4. You have options with barrels. Quite a bit now, actually. You have, with the Cold Hammer Forge barrel, it is a 10.4, a 14.5, and a 16-inch. And within those three length options, you have like a heavier barrel, which this one is quite a bit heavier. Well, I'll show you that. Quite a bit heavier. I'll show you that in a second. And then you have like a lighter profile barrel. And I went with the 14.5 just because I pretty much... I'm over the shorter barrel life. I pinned the muzzle device on, so no paperwork needed, and it's just a sweet deal. And I tried doing some other stuff with it, where I think a 14.5 would have been beneficial, but it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. But yeah, so heavy barrel. I believe it's made by Faxon, and it has all the 416 parts, op rods, and everything, gas blocks, bolt carrier. I'll pull that in a second. But up front here, got a closed tine war comp. Was always a fan of those. I thought it looked at home on here. Attached to the front here, we got a Surefire Scout M600. Pretty bright. Tape switch with momentary on and the click. Surefire. It's surefire. Underneath here, got the BCM, the Bravo Company Kinesthetic Angle Grip, also known as the CAG. I am a huge fan of that. I have been for years. It's pretty much my preferred handguard device. And it just allows you to pull it into you really well and still have like a natural grip on the gun with your little C clamp. But yeah, I put those on pretty much everything that I can. Now the handguard, you could get Midwest Industries, you could get an actual HK, and then Geisley has a bunch of different ones. I wanted the original handguard that Geisley made for like CAG and DevGru and shit, but I wanted M-Lock as well, so I ended up getting this on Black Friday, which, if you probably already know, but Geisley does crazy sales on Black Friday. And instead of paying like $500, I think I paid like $260 for this handguard, and I'm a huge fan of it. Lots of grip. I'm kind of undecided if I made the right decision getting the 13 versus the 14 with the Picatinny on the 3. On the 3, 9, and 12. I figured it'd be a good idea just in case I wanted to throw a bipod on here, which I did, or if I wanted to put the light here, or whenever I start doing cans and shit, put the light here and it goes out next to the can, or like a laser aiming device of sorts. But I think I made the right decision. The rails haven't gotten in the way for me at all so far, and yeah, fan of this rail. Geisley rails are Geisley rails. There's not much more to say. Now, as for some things I've seen complaints about on the internet, it's stuff that doesn't really bother me. I don't get why people complain. Yes, there are machining marks on the exterior of the upper. Like you can see where like the mill went through, and there's machining marks. But who the fuck cares? It doesn't change anything. Oh, just looking at it, I can see it. Or you could go out and shoot your gun and like, this is covered in scratches and things already, and I probably only have like 2,000 rounds on it so far. So machining marks don't bother me. If they bother you, I wish I had that little of problems in my life where my biggest concern was machining marks on an upper. But yeah, so machining marks, again, who cares? Up top here, EOTech EXPS 3 on a Unity riser, just because, you know, I think it looks cool on here. You see most 416s have an elevated optic of sorts. Once night vision comes in my direction, gives you a little bit of, you could do passive aiming and stuff. Now, I swapped out the charging handle. I don't know if this is, I'm no 416 expert, but I don't know if this is something that you could do with the normal 416s. I would imagine you couldn't. You need a proprietary charging handle, which is why it's pretty cool that Brownells is doing this. They make its parts compatibility very seamless. But I got a airborne charging handle, I think. Nope, Geisley supercharging handle. It's a Geisley supercharging handle. It's a good charging handle. I'm partial sometimes to the BCMs or the Radians, but I had one of these laying around, so we're using it. Now, like 416 uppers, actual 416 uppers, you can just slap it on an AR lower. And that's what I did. We just got an arrow lower here. That's always been my go-to for like 5-6 years at this point. They're inexpensive, but they have good tolerances. And it's the best price to quality ratio that I've seen with lowers. I'm sure that the new PSA stuff that's coming out, since they're just going off the rails with producing good shit, I'm sure those are fine too. But I just go with the trusty arrows all the time now. Got a full Geisley parts kit. Got a Geisley SSA trigger in here. Everyone knows what a SSA trigger does at this point, but It's a nice, oh, safety's on. It's a nice crisp wall you get to. Nice crisp break. And nice short reset. There it is. Now, I believe the SSAE is a 3.5 pound total pull. I think this is like a 4 pound total pull. Either way, I've been using the SSAs and the Geisley 2 stages for years, and it's just what I'm used to. I've had SSAEs. They're a little light for. I'm just being nitpicky. I just prefer this because it's what I'm used to. But full Geisley parts kit. Got the Maritime bolt catch release, whatever you want to call it. VCM grip here. I just like the way they feel in my hand. The B5s are nice. I pretty much use those or B5s. Even the Magpul K2s are nice. Now, I got a Geisley charge or buffer tube here with the spiral, the Type 42 buffer spring. Does it make a difference? I'm sure it does, but I've only had that in here. I haven't tried a regular buffer tube, and I'm pretty sure I'm running. Oh, what do we got in here? We got an H2 buffer. Oh, while we're here, if you've never seen a 416 bolt carrier group, very similar to a regular bolt carrier, except they're on the firing pin, there's a spring. So the bolt always stays out, you don't have to flip it out. And instead of having like a gas port up here, it's just where the op rod hits that sends it back forward. And while we're talking about op rods, I should mention there has recently been a recall. There's a certain batch of these 416 uppers that were released, and some of the op rods were made with the wrong material, so they went and sent everyone out. I just put it in. I never had any issues with the original op rod, but swapped it out anyway just because they told me to. Now, we'll take a quick look at the gas system here. Another cool thing about 416s, the handguards have a captured screw here, as you can see, that you just undo that, stays in there, and the whole thing pops off, slides back on, close it, good. It goes in the notch here. But yeah, you got the gas block, you got the op rod, bullet gets shot out, gas pushes this back, and as you can see, op rod goes back, pushes bolt carrier back, rifle cycles. But this is just a quick in and out part that you swap out. Makes it really easy. And there's no reason not to swap it out if they're giving you the part anyway. But that's basically what it looks like. As you can see, you got a big hefty barrel there. I don't know. It's hard to say I did or didn't make the right decision with this barrel contour. I'm sure it's good in the long run, but it's going to be heavier, harder to run. But with that extra weight, I will put the weight up here right now, down here somewhere. But with that extra weight, recoil is tamed, but you're also holding it up a lot heavier. But you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So there's that. Alright, so moving forward, or backward to go forward, Geisley buffer tube, Geisley Type 42 buffer spring and buffer. For stock right now, I threw this back on because the BRN Recce 4 that I tried doing ended up being a bit of a failure. Not so much that it wasn't capable, but it was definitely Murphy's Law at the time. Whatever could go wrong did go wrong. I had the B5, like SPR stock, the fully adjustable one with all the bells and whistles on it. Huge fan of this. This was supplied from a friend, Matt. You might know him as Observer Up on the Instagram, and that was supplied to him through Mark Keller. And I just wanted to thank Mark Keller for the roundabout reach around on that one. And I was told to say, Observer Up knows Mark Keller likes this. There's your shout out, bud. But I'll get to the Recce 4 in a minute. I don't know if there's a placeholder. I'm up in the air right now. I really do like these. They look cool. They're solid. This is the BCM. It's not the SOP mod. Don't mind my heating. The house is cold. We'll work through it. But I like these, but I'm up in the air. CTR, I bought this on accident for something else that needed a commercial stock, not a mil-spec stock, so I just had this flown around for now. And then I also have a B5 SOP mod. I'm really up in the air what I want to use. I'm probably going to dick around with all three of them next time I take this out to the range. And then lastly, we got the Faro Concept Slingster and the Desert Tiger. Slingster's been my favorite sling for a while. I do like the Edgar Sherman designs, and I have a couple others like the VTech. I've used the Vickers sling, the Blue Force Gear Vickers sling, but this is by far my favorite, and I'll probably keep just using Faros just because I can. But as for the system, as you see it here, it is really like, for lack of a better term, an assaulter's weapon. In terms of, not an assault weapon, because that's fake, but in terms of philosophy of use, it's a piston M4. It's a unique. If you haven't shot a piston gun before, you're going straight from DI or internal piston to a short stroke piston such as this. There is a learning curve, a huge learning curve. It took me probably 3 or 4 range trips to actually learn how to shoot it. Because it is a straight back thump. There's no muzzle rise on it. It's just like straight back. And I'm sure how heavy this is. I'm sure the buffer system. I'm sure the war comp even plays into it. But it is a very manageable thump back, and it's a little bit slower than a regular DI system. But since I'm me, I try to make everything into a long range gun these days. And as I'll put a photo here, I wanted to try this into making it a Recce rifle, because those are all the craze. They're kind of slowing down. People are going back to other things, but for a while the Recce was a very popular topic. So the way I had it set up, 14.5 upper, everything, the base of the rifle was the same. I put the B5 on it, like I said before. Huge fan of this. This is going to be going on something else I got coming soon. It is another at-home version of something that is incredibly expensive, similar to this. I'll leave it at that, but if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be seeing about it pretty soon. But yes, B5 stock in the back, QD Atlas up front. You don't need to see it on there now. QD Atlas up front, Mark 6 3 to 18 on top, and sometimes I played around and put a PVS 27 on there, but I never actually got to shoot it at night yet. I will try that eventually, maybe do some coyote hunting of sorts, or predator hunting, whatever. But so once I had this set up as the I just kept calling it the Recce 4 in parentheses 16 just because I thought it was funny. And I did a lot. I was doing some low development for another rifle that I'll be talking about soon, and I wanted to put rounds, batch grade rounds, through both of them just to see what kind of numbers we would get to, so I could work up to that, and what kind of accuracy I could expect out of this. Hopes weren't high, but you know, had to see. So, what we have here is the target of the match grade ammo that I put through this on the first time, just to get a baseline of accuracy. Right here, we got Federal 77 grain 223, not 5.56, but 223. That's supposed to be like the golden standard of 08, like just like with 308, 175, Sierra Match Kings, and Federal is the gold standard for 308. As you can see here, a lot of vertical stringing, not very good. A hair over a 3-inch group. In here, SIG 77 grain 223. Typically speaking, through bolt guns and through other 223 5.56 gas guns, I've had good luck with it. 1.5 inches I feel is respectable, especially for this. And so that's what, like, I was taking a 1.5 inch baseline for this, but, and then I feel like the surprise here was Hornady 5.56, Hornady Black, the 75 grain bonded tip, which I could see being a good self-defense round or a good hunting round, but that was just a hair over a 1-inch group. And so I had hope that this gun might be able to shoot. I think I threw out the other target that I went out with the second time because it was bad. I did Mark actual Black Hills 5.56 77 grain OTM to Mark 262 loads. It was like 3 inches. I did some hand loads that I was trying to work up to a 262 clone. None of them were good. So I pretty much chalked this up as a 1.5 to 2.5 inch gun based off of ammo and conditions. And I figured that'd be good enough to take out to some range. So last weekend I went out, I loaded up some mags with just some 55 grain ball, just to see what we'd be looking at. I made some impacts at 500, it was like 560, and then I started shooting out with a prayer to 780, I believe it was. And out of a 20 rounds loaded in a mag, I think I hit like 8 times, but the wind was real bad, and again, it was almost 700 yards with the 55 grain bullet. Not really ideal conditions. So I took out some 77 grain hand loads. That's like my 262 clone. And this is what happened. That's not good. Huh. Well, when this happens. Yep, just a click. So, what I was kind of a little upset about that, but that was like my first sign, and then I looked at the Mark 6, how I had it on there. I don't know if you can see this. Very loose. So I didn't have a 0 anymore. So I chalked it up as the universe sending me signals to leave it alone, throw the EOTech back on it, and rip it from close range, then out to 300, 400. I did make 500 yard impacts with this, with 55 grain with the EOTech. However, that was on a clean, like, sunny, nice day, probably 45, 50 degrees out, not a lot of wind. But I consider this like the same type of what you would use an M4 for, and that's that. So while I wanted the Recce 4 to live on, it just didn't. And we'll have a moment of silence. But so that is my 416 at home right now. Brownells has been dropping a little food crumb trail that they might be doing matching lowers, like they're going back to the BRN 4 lowers. They did a run a while back, but I believe those are only compatible with 416 parts. So if I was a betting man, I would say that they are working on a BRN 4 lower that's compatible with all M4 mil-spec AR-15 parts. And when that comes out, I'll be swapping this out. I'm sure there'll be a couple more thousand rounds down the road, and I will do an update on this. But as of now, I am a real fan of this. Huge fan. I like the uniqueness of it. I have been bored of the AR-15 platform for a very long time at this point, and a couple years at this point, where I just like shooting different things. That would explain abominations like this. Don't worry, we'll address that in a couple months. But I'm a huge fan of this. I'm going to keep ripping it. I'm going to keep training with it on the flat range. Maybe do some more mid-range stuff with it, like the 300-400, and incorporate that into flat range stuff, run drills. And hopefully I can put out some content with me doing that, and you can see the capabilities of this. But as of now, if you accept it for what it is, you will love it. If you have unrealistic expectations of what it is, you might be disappointed. However, I am not disappointed. For the price, I think it's around $1,100 just for the upper, but it's ready to rock. Almost ready to rock. It is missing just a muzzle device and a rail, and throw it on any AR lower and you're good to go. But let me know your thoughts on this, if you have any experience with this, if you've shot both of them, if they're both of them being a BRN 4 and an HK 416, what your thoughts are in comparison, and let me know if you think I should paint it. It is very uncharacteristic for me to leave a rifle in its native coating. Maybe one day, maybe not. For now, I'm just rocking it the way it is. But if you have any thoughts on stock options, if you have any thoughts on what stock I should choose out of these three, I'm likely to go with the SOP mod, but we'll see. But that's all I got for you today. We'll be back soon. Hopefully this can be a bi-monthly thing, or as I'm ready to put stuff out, but hopefully there's not going to be a 3-month gap again. But as always, hope you liked the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, share to your friends, tell your girlfriend, tell your mother, tell your sister, tell your wife's boyfriend, whoever needs to hear it. Check out the videos. And make sure you subscribe on here, follow on Instagram, and if you would like to support me a little bit further, patreon.com/madmaxguns. And as always, if you didn't like the video, eat a dick. We will see you next time, friends. Peace.